Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rodney Miller, and it is my privilege to be the Dean of the College of Fine Arts here at Wichita State. It is also my privilege to welcome you to this very unique and very wonderful evening where we celebrate this anniversary. This is not a multimedia event, it's actually more of a multimedium event. And we have elements from all three of the schools of the College of Fine Arts present tonight, as you will certainly see. We are standing in a temple to the vision of those who have gone before us. Most of whom are gone now, but will never be forgotten. Robert Towne, who came to Wichita State in 1965 and forged a legacy of very wonderful students who went on to win many national and international competitions and prizes. Gladys Wiedemann, through her friendship with Robert Towne, she helped to create this wonderful edifice by donating her support for this marvelous organ, the Marcussen organ, the very first Marcussen organ ever built in the United States. Rie Bloomfield, who through her vision supported the establishment of the Rie Bloomfield organ series, which has gone on to host just about every famous organist in the world. And finally, our very own LYNNE DAVIS, who is currently the Robert Towne Distinguished Professor of Organ. She is a graduate of Michigan and promptly upon graduating in organ performance moved to France, where she spent the next 30 years studying with Marie-Claire Alain and immersing herself in the musical and organ life of France and Paris and so forth. She married Pierre-Firmin Didot, who was the founder of the famous Chartres International Organ Competition. And she herself received, and if I can remember this, the Chevalier de Ordre des Arts des Lettres bestowed upon her, pardon my French, bestowed upon her by the French Ministry of Culture and Communication. We are celebrating the building of these walls by tearing down the walls between the schools in the College of Fine Arts. You will see elements from the School of Art, Design, and Creative Industry through the graphic arts and ceramic arts. And you will also see elements from the College of, or the School of Performing Arts through our dance. So without further ado, I give you a wonderful evening of organ.
Good evening. It's my turn to welcome you to the Rie Bloomfield Organ Series and the 30th anniversary of the building of the organ and the hall. It's really incredible that we are able to celebrate this legacy together. And it is also incredible that we have prepared this concert in an interdisciplinary fashion with the two other schools in the College of Fine Arts, the School of Performing Arts and the School of Art, Design, and Creative Industries. It has been a wonderful pleasure to work with my colleagues, and I'll say more about them after the intermission. The program tonight is, as you can see, themed around dance. Some of the works have the title of dance in it, and others don't, but from the almost minuet of the COUPERIN Offertoire for the convent mass, the two dances from the 5 dances of Calvin Hampton, American composer, Sicilienne, the lovely gondola-like piece by Maurice DURUFLE, and the Passacaglia by Bach, which is probably the best, most grand theme and variations ever written. But you, the audience, you will perhaps listen a little bit differently. The titles are there to give you an idea, but think of it, if you close your eyes and think or feel something else, an image that might be conjured up in your mind, then that is also very interesting. Now, I would say also you could dance in the aisles, but I don't think the fire marshal would like that, so don't dance in the aisles. There's one more person who dances here, and it's me, it's the organist. And you know, those of you who've come to organ concerts here or anywhere else, the organist does dance with his or her feet. So let's dance. once again, good evening. After this first half, some remarks specifically about the 30th anniversary. The hall, the organ, both jewels in the crown of WSU. We think that this almost didn't get done. The organ builder from Denmark, Jørgen Zachariasen, you have pictures, some pictures in your program, arrived and they told him, well, we might not have a hall to put your organ in. He said, well, this has never happened to me before. Marcussen is a 200-year-old company. Thankfully, the powers that be were able to manage the money for the hall, and thus everything was built. But I went over to the archives in the basement of Abla Library and saw literally all the photos that are there, the contact sheets and everything that was taken, and pictures which I'll put in a booklet at some point, but this whole area was just dirt. And you could see some of the walls going up, and this whole area was just sketchy. You could see, this was dirt, you could see the proscenium just sketched out, and then slowly but surely, everything came together. The Marcussen Organ Company had requested that the seats not be put in right away, so that they could bring the organ over in by sea, by rail, I don't think by air, but it was quite an undertaking. And in the archives, the folders of the very beginning letters and documents, it has recital hall. It wasn't even named yet. So we have two women largely responsible for what we have today. And you know that sometimes in life we take things for granted. And I'm sure we do take this recital hall for granted sometimes, but it's such a pleasure to be able to have any type of recital in here. Oboe, from oboe to orchestra and organ alone, tuba, everything, and piano. It is really a joy. Two strong women, Gladys Wiedemann, who donated $500,000 for the organ at the time. $500,000, and today it would cost upward of $2 million to replace this organ. So that was a good time 30 years ago for $500,000. The foyer, the lobby, almost didn't get built either because they were running out of money for the building. And Rie Bloomfield stepped in. You have pictures of both these lovely ladies in your program, and donated the money necessary to have an entryway so that you could come into an entryway before you came into the hall. Later, she donated the 3 large chandeliers, and then in 1994, she endowed the organ recital series in her name, Rie Bloomfield Organ Series. Bob Town also had a strong vision, of course, and he was so instrumental in getting the donation from Gladys Wiedemann. Her attorney at the time was Ken Pringle, and his son, Doug, is in the audience tonight. Doug, would you stand, please? Where are you? Doug Pringle is here. Applause for him. Others who were on the committee from the day one, Jim Radigan, George Platt, David Childs. I know some of you are in the audience. Could you stand? Jim Radigan, David Childs, David Childs, Jim Radigan. Yes, without them and their hard work, we wouldn't have these things today. We've had best wishes from the Marcussen Organ Company, Olaf Alsoren, who you see as a very young man in your program, who was the voicer, who gave the speech to the pipes. Halfdan Alsoren, his son, who comes every 4 years to tune the organ, And Claudia Zachariasen, who is now the head of the organ company, her father, Jürgen, is in your program, and he was the one who came over to oversee everything, Jürgen Zachariasen. Who was here 30 years ago for the inauguration? Stand. Stand up, stand up. Bravo, and I hope you'll come to many more. Please take some programs from the inaugural series. This is the one from the actual recital series that was including piano and 2 concerts by Gillian Weir. There are other programs. We have a lot of them left, and if you'd like to have a souvenir, please do take them. The other aspect of tonight, of course, in which we're celebrating the legacy, is the interdisciplinary collaboration that took place here between the schools in the College of Fine Arts. I can't tell you the joy that I had in working with Ted Adler, Nick Johnson, Regina Klentjowski, and I would like them to stand. Ted Adler, Ted. Art, Design, and Creative Industries. Nick Johnson. Where are you? He's here, I know he's here. And Regina, you will see her later unless she's already here in the room. She is the choreographer. Ted and his students are responsible for these ceramic witnesses to inspirations from the 3 dances by Jean Alain. And he didn't want to come up here and talk, so I have to do it at his place. And if you look at your program, this is joy, joie. This is deuil, mourning. And lutte, the struggle between joy and sorrow in one's life. These students and Ted have been absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much to any students in the audience. Yeah, stand. Jim Hellman's students designed this beautiful blue poster. Is Jim in the audience? I don't think he could be here. Any students who designed the poster in the room? No? Your names are in the program, though, and it was absolutely beautiful. Nick Johnson, Ted and Nick and I sat around the coffee tables in the coffee shop in the Radigan Student Center. Yes, thank you. This spring, to plan all this, and I can tell you there was a lot of excitement. I think you all should stand again because now we've got the light. Come on, Jim. Jim, David, Ted, students. Now you can see who was here. Nick Johnson, there he is. I didn't see you before. And Regina Klendowski, choreographer, in the back. This has been truly a wonderful collaboration. I can't thank you enough. It's been wonderful. And now, to interview me in the conversation with the artist, I couldn't very well do it myself, could I? My dear friend Thomas Freilich, who has come up from Dallas especially to be with us. We were students in Paris with Marie-Claire Alain way back when, and he's here to do a little conversation with me. Please welcome Thomas Freilich.
I can't tell you what a pleasure it is to be here tonight on such an auspicious occasion. I've had this on my calendar for a year, And it was about 2 weeks ago that Lynn asked me if I would do this interview. I think I'd had a gin and tonic or something at that point, and I said, sure, I'd be glad to. But I've never done anything like this before, so just please bear with me.
Talks more than I do.
I don't want to talk an awful lot about Lynn tonight because, well, first of all, most of you know Lynn. You've been patrons of the Bloomfield series, and you've been around for a long time, as has she. So instead of talking about her tonight, I really want to talk about what we're really here for, and this is the instrument. I want to ask Lynn, first of all, you certainly know a lot of the organs in Europe, and you've played so many of the great organs in France, but this is the first organ that you have really had for your very own. And I want to know how this instrument and how getting to know and love this instrument has contributed to the player that you are and to your appreciation for the organ in general.
Well, I've been here now 10 years. It doesn't seem possible, but it's 10 years. And over that time, I have continued to appreciate and to love this organ for what it is. If I had an organ to build myself, I would use this stop list. It is so wonderful, and in all the literature that's written about this, and Bob Town wrote a little booklet, the stop list allows the organist to play from different periods of the organ repertoire, and that's capital. It's also been a wonderful performing instrument to be able to found one's own recital series. Wednesdays in Wiedemann has given me the opportunity not only to perform, but to reach a public and to show what a jewel we have here, and to speak about the music, to perform it, and have it become something in schedules, in people's schedules. Oh yeah, we're going to go to Wednesdays in Wiedemann. And so it's been a dream come true, really.
I think one thing that you mentioned that is so important is the fact that this instrument is something that really does play so many different kinds of literature well. And I think that's something that's gone unappreciated in the last couple of decades at least. People have been so focused on, let's build an 18th century French instrument, or let's build a 19th century instrument, or let's do I played an organ last week in a recital that was built on 19th century French principles. Well, that's fine if you want to play that kind of music. But having played this organ myself, I can say that it's probably one of the most inspiring organs that I have ever played as an organist, just because it does so many things so beautifully, just so incredibly beautiful.
It's an ideal situation. It's an ideal setting. The hall that was built for the organ was built for the hall, and exactly. It's a very rare occasion.
It absolutely is. Let me ask you this: how did you come up with the idea to do a program based on dance?
Well, because I wanted to do the Jean-Alain Trois Danses,
okay. And
we've talked about programs. I mean, I get all my ideas from him. Basically, yeah, program, no. But to do the Trois Danses, the three dances, and I've played them already here during our American Alain Festival in 2011, but it's such a powerful, dramatic piece. And then dance, it just, one thing led to another, and I had to find other pieces that would fall into the category of dance, with not necessarily having the word dance in the title.
Right. One thing that probably nobody here knows about you, but that I do know about you, is that when we were poor, starving students in Paris, one of the things you did was accompany dance studios.
Oh, that's right. That's
You
right.
did.
I forgot.
And as I was sitting back there listening tonight at the ballet, I thought it just has come full circle, from being poor students to now being old people, who are teaching other poor students how to do this sort of thing.
That's right. On the piano, little tiny tots every Wednesday. Yeah.
One other thing, too, that I want to talk about is, with regards to this instrument, what you envision as kind of the future here at Wiedemann Hall in terms of continuing the Bloomfield series, maybe some more symposiums like the LYNNE Festival a couple of years ago, which was so wildly successful.
Well, yes, and there are always anniversaries of composers coming up. In fact, this year was DURUFLE and l'Anglais, and there's always something coming up. But ideas are part of the creative process, and sometimes you don't think of it until a little voice tells you, well, this is what you should do. And look at what we did with Ted and Nick and Regina got together and talked about it and planned it. One thing I do want to continue in is to make a continued awareness of this instrument, the organ as a concert instrument as well, and bring it as many times as possible, as part of this university, part of the College of Fine Arts.
I think that's so important because so many people associate the organ with church. And when I tell people I'm an organist, they think that all I do is play for church. You know, they don't envision the organ as a concert instrument. And
I know. I can't tell you the times when I was organist in Clamart, there was an American choir that came up, and somebody came up to the organ loft and said, "Oh, you're the organist? I thought you would be a little old lady." That's the stereotype,
Yes.
Little old lady.
I had the very same experience the very first wedding I played when I came back from France. I had a consultation with the bridal couple, and they came in and they kind of did a double take because I was sitting there in a tank top and a pair of shorts. And they said, "Oh, I thought organists were all just little old ladies."
Well,
Same
that's
experience.
the stereotype. You look at any movie, and you've got a Hammond organ and this little
Yeah.
old lady with a net in her hair.
Yeah.
Or you've got something like Ethel Smith.
Yes, or Dracula.
or yes, and what was the movie we had just recently? Phantom of the Opera.
Yes,
See,
that's right.
there's some
Yeah,
people who were here. Not Bela Lugosi, who was it?
Lon Chaney, that's right,
I
yes.
knew there was...
Let me ask you one other thing to wrap this up, and that's circling back to the trois danses. People probably, well, some people may know, but do you want to speak a little bit as to how that piece actually came about, how it was originally not an organ piece, and then how you came up with the concept of having it danced to? Because I have never heard of an event where there were actually dancers doing the trois danses.
This is a very, very original choreography, very original idea. I don't think I've ever seen it. I think it was maybe done once at the University of Michigan by Marilyn Mason, but it was lost. And of course, you need the space to be able to do it. You need to have the wonderful dancers and the choreographers who will be able to think through. The way they prepared for this was I gave them my CD of my performance here in 2011. So they were able to listen to it every time they had a session and going through it and through it. And then finally we came here, we've rehearsed several times, and I played it live.
When you told me that you were thinking about doing this, I couldn't quite envision what it was going to be like. And I have to say, I walked in last night and caught about the last 5 minutes of the rehearsals, and I got chills. I mean, I can't wait to see the whole thing tonight.
Well, there will be one person who will not see it at all. Who is it? Yes! I'll have to wait till the video. You know, somebody's recording it. It'll be on YouTube, so I'll have to wait and see the final result,
That's right.
Regina and Nick.
But one thing that I think she pointed out last night, too, that I think is so interesting, and I hope the people will notice this, too, is that actually you are part of the dance, too. As well as the dancers being up here, just your movement also contributes to the sort of overall performance. So
Yes.
I think it's very exciting.
Well, it is exciting. So we'll hope to pass along this excitement to you and the drama of the joie, deuil, and lutte. And two little dances first on the God of Fire, Ani Yavishta.
Good. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's dance.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.